Oh, what is up with it, YouTube? Quarter for live here. Just want to bring you a little update video on the car. Had some issue, had to pull out the factory original 5-speed transmission. First gear was hurting a little bit, and decided to just send it on its way with the launch control. Practicing launch control setting up to get it just right to make good video for you guys. And unfortunately, before I get to make the video, it broke. It did not actually break while I was launching the car. It actually broke later. I was just driving and it just, you know, you drive down the road, all of a sudden it just bang, make a bunch of noise, and basically all that noise was all these teeth in here from first gear. What's up, man? It is just a couple of them, just pieces shattered. So the gears first, reverse, second, third, fourth, and you can see first gear is just completely fucked. All the teeth, maybe one or two on there. This 6-speed out of 2000 S4. It is basically locked out of first gear, won't go in first gear, but all the other gears work fine. So instead of rebuilding all the gears just to go and probably break it again doing the launch control, I'm just going to swap the shift collar and the stuff that works fine on the 5-speed. Go ahead and swap it over on the 6-speed. Just wanted to go ahead, got an AA engine factory sitting right here, so I just went ahead and bolted the transmission just to double check, make sure. Looks like it's good to go. Had to take the dowel pin out of that side, but on this side it worked. So probably going to use the 6-speed with the wider first gear, but then obviously the linkage from this car because it's a little bit different. Transmission up here on the toolbox, ready for teardown. Going to be swapping it into this 1994 Audi S4. A beautiful machine. Take advantage of that strong first gear, you know. So I've done a few of these, know a lot about the inside and out, all the little tricks and all that shit, you know. So show you know, a little bit of the breakdown of that as take it apart. But normally we'll be doing like a JHM, either just first gear collar with synchros or, you know, all the synchros obviously. But for this one, I got a good collar right here. So we're just going to, you know, maybe take this one apart and, you know, use this. Shift collar worked just fine on this one. So basically just going to need to press first gear off to get the bearing off to get this one, and then take the output shaft out of the 6-speed, and then same thing, press off and then swap them out. Reassemble, and hopefully she should be good to go. Got her nice and clean. All the nook and cranny, power wash real good. Came out good, so we're just gonna go ahead and start tearing this baby down. So, ready or not? Here we go. All right, so the first little part here, I like to take just a piece of wood and prop the center up on this piece of wood, so it's kind of like straight. Lift it up a little bit because this will give us access basically, because we're gonna have to pry this off, this cover on the back here, so to, you know, gain access a couple, you know, different ways. So I got these tree bolts left over. We got this one up here on top. Alright, so when I took all the bolt out, there was a, you know, popped out, there was a gap about as big as a screwdriver. So I put the camera down to like walk it out a little bit, and it just popped right out. This one's really good. So there's the O-ring on there that seals it. And then when you take this out, just face it up because there's some shims and a spring. Just keep that spring on the shaft right there. Alright. So the shims, if they're, sometimes they'll be out. Here they are right here. So just leave those down in there like this. And then leave the spring on there. And I like to just leave this just facing up, just like this. And then what I do is I diff the slides right there. Let's check this baby out real quick. See if there's anything fucked up on it. Oh, looks better than my 5-speed. This car, mainly like stage 1, stage 2, B5. So this one looks good. We're definitely going to use this one for sure. Alright, and I'll just go ahead and set it on there like this. And then I'm just going to go ahead and set this on our parts. Alright, to get this puppy out, what I use is like a 90. This is a big 90 pick. Just something you can basically put in there to get a good amount of leverage. So I just put it up against the plastic disc on that inside and just press. Oh, look at that. Jeez. Like butter. Alright, let's see what it looked like. Little string, oil strainer, got a little magnet in there. Oh, nice. It doesn't have a bunch of teeth like that last one we looked at now, does it? Ooh. So that looks pretty good. So that exposed that bolt in there. It's a triple square bolt right there. So it lines right up with this hole right there. So you can use your socket or extension with socket to get it. But if we try to break it loose, it's just going to spin the shaft, so we have to lock it down in 2 gears at the same time. So next we're going to remove the selector shaft cover. Alright, the selector shaft cover bolts, T45, just like the other ones. Make sure you get the socket in there all the way. Fucking around because there's a big O-ring that holds it in. Okay, so there's that. Put that on the parts table. Alright, and then to remove the selector shaft, we just got to remove these 2 detents, 27mm. Once that's out, that should just slide right out. Oh, fuck. There we go. A little finesse, you know. There she is. Alright, and now we can go ahead and lock it in 2 gears at the same time. Alright, this is actually pretty easy. Just go right here. This one all the way on the inside. Pull that one back like that. And when you go to pull on this one, it's not going to want to go. So you just got to spin the input while you see it won't go. There it is. See, they're both like that. So now it's locked up solid, so we can remove this bitch ass bolt in here. Alright, so now that's the bolt right there we're trying to get. So now that's all locked down. We can break that loose, but it is very, 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 very tight. So one thing I recommend to do that I've done in the past, well, not everybody can do this, but I just went ahead and grabbed the hoist and basically just put the transmission bell housing just back on the engine, just to, you know, nice and sturdy, because I don't have another person to help me right now to hold it. But even if I have broken them loose like that before, and oh my god, it is pain in my asshole. So, you know, we're just going to try and do it like this real quick. Oh yeah. All right. All that work, get the engine up here just to break this one motherfucking bitch loose. Get it out real quick, show you. Get it out real quick. There it is. This little motherfucker. It's a bitch. But we got it. On to the next step. Nice. Oh, look at that baby. See that? Alright. Woo! And that's what was holding it in. We just pulled that off. Alright, got my puller on here. This is a 3-jaw puller. This is all I had. It is definitely easier with a 2-jaw puller because you got to get around this fork right here. But just start yanking on it a little bit. Let's see if we can see that gear coming on through there. Alright. Just lay the sinker on there where it was. Face up. Parts bench. Place an order. Make things easier and less confusing. You know, when you look at all this stuff for the first time or on video or whatever, it looks confusing. But when you do it for yourself, you know, you'll learn that it's really not that much to it. You know, it's just one thing at a time. So we got to get the snap ring off right here. So we're gonna tackle that. Right. Try and do this one hand. That spacer right there. So parts bench. Got that little shim. Don't lose that. I'm just gonna set it just like that on the bench. Alright, gotta get this pin out right here. Best to use a punch. Don't have one. It's usually sticking out a little bit, so you can just tap it in. So this one I just tapped in already, and I just got this is a 4mm Allen, so it's smaller than the hole. So that way, you know, I can just hopefully tap it down. Alright, and that's bottomed out now, so I'm gonna have to find something else. Alright, just gonna try this little bolt. Fits right in there. Woo! Don't you love when a plan just comes together like that? So here's this pin. So that's right there. Parts bench. Okay. And then this bad boy should just slide off of here. Okay. Just going to keep it all the same. Just going to face it up just like that. So that way it go on just like that. Alright, so I was able to pull the gear off a substantial amount with the smaller jaw puller. So now I got the bigger one on now that it fits. It's got a lot more leverage. Shouldn't just pop off like the other one. And I got a little tip when you got stuff like hanging over. I like to just open up my top drawer so it doesn't hit the ground and, you know, go missing. At least if it falls in your toolbox, you know, no big deal. Alright, this little clip right here is not fun. I literally just sat here for like probably 10-15 minutes to try to get it off. It's not even off all the way, but the hard part is over. So once you get it off all the way, you can slide this bearing out all the way. See that guy? So when that's come out, then we can go ahead and pull the case off. That will pull this gear right here off, and then obviously I got my hose clamp on here to hold on to the pinion shaft to keep all the bearings in place. So let's go ahead and knock that out. Usually if you can get some leverage right off of there and just kind of tamp up. Ooh, look at that. Come to Papa. Alright, let's set that on the ground. Alright, here it is. Just like the other one, we gotta get these shafts out to get to the first gear so we can, let's look at it and see what kind of damage we got. So let's just go ahead and clean up our toolbox and make some room. Alright, got her on the bench here. I went ahead and took my hose clamp off. Little trick that I do is you take your little weed baggie, throw it on here like this, kind of like suffocate it like that, and then what you do is you just tap the other side of the shaft, and that way everything goes right into the bag. Alright, so take this C-clip off of right here. Once that's off, it's like a chain reaction. Just slide this bad boy off of here. Take out the reverse. Push from this end. Sometimes helps a little. Twist. There we go. Just take pictures of everything before you take it apart. You do a few of these, it's not hard to remember. So once you got that, the input's ready to come out, so just wiggle, jiggle, pull with the fork too. There it is. Okay, just gonna lay that down like that. There's our input shaft. This collar is good. Alright, so to get this out, we need to get this reverse off. Let's see, take this off right here. Alright. Looks like a 13. This little spring. Alright. Basically it all just comes apart in pieces. It's a little puzzle. Alright, now the good stuff. Alright, got it on the press. Basically, you just got fourth gear coming to the bottom. The bigger gears, second, reverse, first gear, they will not fit through this. So, you know, there really is not a lot of room, but you usually have enough. I have done it on this press before, so I know I can do it again. So, just got a little truck right there, a little socket. Let's check it out. Oh yeah, easy peasy. It'll fall, but it won't go all the way down, like I said. Oh, look at that. Would you look at that? Oh boy. Parts table. Okay, alright, let me get this back on the bench. Alright, should just pop right out now. Oh, yeah. Look at that nice thick first gear. Ooh, look at that baby, nice and beefy. But yeah, let's check that shift collar. Oh wow. Yep, it's totally locked up. I can't move it or nothing. Alright, so first things first, we need to press first gear off. That will press this bearing off so we can gain access to the shift collar that is seized. Alright, so this is the 6-speed. Removing first gear. Nice. Okay. Same thing. Lift the gear off. Bring it over here. And then we got the shaft with the locked collar. So let's get this on the bench and see what we got going on here. Alright, got both first gear right here. 5-speed, 6-speed. And you can see big difference. Like this one, the inside of my 5-speed was definitely much cleaner than the 6-speed. It got a lot more care and attention, but unfortunately it also had a lot more power going through it, and you know, we all know what happened there. But you know, I've always known for years that this 5-speed had narrow, you know, weaker first gear, but I've never actually seen them right next to each other, so I thought this would be pretty cool to show that off. Both of them right there together. Alright. Synchro. Oh yeah, baby. So let's go to second gear. So that's engaged. Second gear is engaged, which I never had a problem going second. I had a problem going in first. Have to do the same thing, get the bearing splitter, and you know, just continue. All right, got it all pressed on. Shift collar, good. First gear installed, spinning good, bearing spinning good. So we can go ahead and get some of our parts over here. This one goes on like this, and then in the 3 holes in there, 1, 2, 3. The first one, basically from left to right, if you have the case sitting like this. So we're gonna go on the first one, from left to right. Alright, so now we just gotta go over to the press. Press this on the back side here. So let's go check that out. Alright, so I got it just sitting on 4th gear. Got the gear on there. Ready to press on. Take a little piece of pipe. Slide it on. Bearing driver right there. Just that puppy on there. Alright, stop right there. Alright, start putting it in reverse now. These are all the reverse parts. Looks kind of complicated at first, but you know, you do 1, 2, 3 times, you know, you get good at this shit. So this basically, this little arm rides like this in here. So in order to get them in there, put the arm in first and then fold it back. So when you put this in, you can kind of like fold it back and then slide it in like that. So let us try. Lever first, right? Gear. Boom, look at that. It's like I've done this before. Then this bad boy, put this hole going up like that. Kind of slide in here, down like this. Around that, flip it around this way. And that kind of sets on the gear. And then once you get that in there, you can put the spring on. It's kind of tricky, but like I said before, 1, 2, 3 times, you know, you'll get good. Okay, I'm gonna slide this pin through to get the spring. Just keep it from walking off. It's kind of hard to get on the camera. Apologize. Something is binding up. There it is. There it goes. Okay, so this is all the way in. Okay. The spring is on. Put this plate on. It's got like a little, kind of like a timing mark. This plate on right here. This bolt, put your Loctite on there. Pull this through. Get your little clip. What do we do with our clip? Don't lose this one because it's going to be hard to find another one. This clip on there. Boom. Look at that. And that is reverse. Looking good, looking good. Okay. Alright, time for the input shaft. Same thing, put the fork on, goes in the next hole from the left. This is usually pretty easy to get in. No big deal. Nice and good, still rolling in neutral, that's good. Alright. This linkage on here. Okay. Got that on there. That's lined up right there. Alright, and the last one, this one go on. That was the first one that you took off. And looks like everything's lining up good. Okay, so I'll show you real quick. All the selector forks are in. You can see they're all lined up. And it's in neutral, so that's what we want. Now, I've put together before, and you know it's been like locked in gear, and you know, I have to take apart and mess around with it. But you know, experience is good there. All right, so we're gonna go ahead and get the pinion bearing ready. I'm gonna put all these small little bearings on there, and then I'm going to show you guys how I slide it in here without any, you know, bullshit going down. So I'll show you that in just a minute after I get the bearing. All right, so keep this shaft, tighten this shaft up a little bit while we're transporting. Just gonna slide that in there. All right, got all these bearings on. Not necessarily easy, very tedious. But this washer and this wavy spring go on. Be nice and gentle, don't knock the bearings off. Okay, and then this little bearing right here goes on. And then basically what we're going to do is, instead of having the case up here on the bench and having it to fold this sideways, I went ahead and got the case on the hoist, so that way we can just slide this up so the bearings don't fall out. And then once we have the case this up and we put our hose clamp on, we can go ahead and lay our RTV and go ahead and you know, reconnect the case, everything together. So I'm going to go ahead and show you what that looked like. Alright, so basically what I'm going to do is I'm just going to take this and I'm going to slide it up. The bearings sit right on here, and then once I got it slid up, I'm just going to slip the clamp on top, like I said, tighten so it doesn't fall. Once that's good, we'll lay our RTV down, and then we're just going to, like I said, just drop it right in. Alright, that was very easy doing it like that. Just, you know, can only do with two hands, so, but pretty simple. Just slide straight up until it gets there and none of the bearings fall out. So let's go ahead and get our RTV on here. Alright, so got the RTV on there. Got the input ready to slide in there, and then that gear is going to slide right in there. So let's just try that out. See what we got. Alright, just move it around so it's the right way. Sometimes you can just turn the case a little bit, helps. There we go. That's a good sound. Okay. Now you can see we're very close. It was just that dowel wasn't in right there, so I popped that dowel in and it slid all the way down. So now we'll put the bolt. I'm gonna go back and hand tighten, just, you know, save time. Life of a technician. Alright, got that clip on there. Got the hose clamp off. Got these 4 detents in. So all these are lined up good. Alrighty, so we got 6th gear installed on here. And then we got the shift collar installed. We got the pin on here. It's good to go. Goes right into 6th gear, no problem. So, spacer. And this little part of 5th gear right here. Just gonna knock that on real quick. Grab the pipe. Not the crack pipe. That looks good. Alright. Getting it off is the hard part. Okay, nice. Got that clip on there. Nice. Got to press this little piece on. Looks like I still have a little bit more to do. Alright, so this is a little unconventional, but you know what? It's gonna fucking work, guaranteed. But it's basically the handle for my jet. So let's try that out. See if that works. First try, no problem. Give it one more for good measure. Yeah, definitely good to go. Alright. Go ahead and lay the synchro on there. Like that. And then these little bags right there. Go on that shaft that we just pressed on. Got the spring right here in the gear. It's the bigger part of 5th gear. Just slide that on. Point this synchro. There's 1 of 3 little notches on there. Just kind of point one this way. Get it lined up. The synchro lined up, so it will just pop right on. Okay. Alright, go right into 5th. Alright, go right into 6th. Neutral. Alright, go right into, it goes right into 5th gear, 6th gear, so that's good. Alright. So we just need to press this piece on. Alright, so we just gotta pop this race back in. I got a socket on top of it already, just take a 1/2 inch, go through to the socket, and tap, tap, tap it in. Alright, so I just finished getting it locked into 2 gears, so the shaft is locked up, so we can go ahead and put that bolt in. Same thing, get the 1/2 inch one so you can just slide that right through. See if we can torque this puppy down without the transmission moving too much. Right. Pop the magnet in there. Sits just above the case. Alright, you get that strainer magnet in there, and then you just put that cover on, torque the bolts down, and that's good to go. 6-speed, ready to install. Shift through every gear like butter. We'll see how long she lasts, but you know. Basically, the next one I plan on doing, I would like to do a 5-speed with strong first gear, but TDI 6th gear. So pretty much 3 through 6th gear would be taller than this transmission. Especially 6th gear would be really tall. So that would be something cool. Obviously do all the synchros and all that bullshit. But you know, for now, you know, to get the strong gear, this is what we're going for. So gonna go ahead and get the transmission out for next video. I have transmission jack. I could just pull the transmission out, but you know, I think it'd probably be beneficial for most to just pull the whole thing out in one unit, the engine with the transmission. And the reason why is because if you don't have a transmission jack, you know, doing by yourself, you know, probably not going to be able to do that shit. But if you got a driveway, you got a hoist. The hoist, they're usually the same price as the trans jack, so you know, just yank it all out the front, just like a B5 S4. But that's why I figure, what the hell, you guys can see some of the process of that. Obviously, this one's a little bit easier to take out, in my opinion. The engine, that is, because of the aftermarket stuff. Some things make it easier, but I got a couple of tricks here and there that help along the way. So I figure, you know, why not just make a video yanking the whole thing out, separate them both, pop the 6-speed on it, and then we'll shove it all back in and go for a drive. So that's pretty much what I got planned for next video. So thank you everybody for watching. Appreciate all the comments, likes, subscribes. Definitely helps the channel. Appreciate it very, very much. Just wanted to say to everybody thank you, and have a very good day.